Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, Biblical Shills, Deathly Sirs. I'm a useful idiot. Thank you for tuning in. And today I want to talk about the war in Somalia, in this case, Trump's war in Somalia. And I remember when Trump got elected in 2016, and on his very first day in office, he bombed Yemen. And so we have this president who likes to portray himself as the peacemaker and is now bragging about stopping 7 wars. But we got to take that with a grain of salt in some ways. There's other reasons why, for example, the Pakistan-India potential conflict was nipped in the bud, but we also have a situation where this new peace deal between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. It all looks good on paper, but apparently they're at each other's throats still. So a lot of times these peace agreements don't mean much. It's kind of like when we see these ceasefires and the wars go on. They declare a ceasefire, and everybody just keeps at it. For example, Israel has a ceasefire supposedly with Lebanon, and yet they're still attacking places in Lebanon and destroying a lot of the infrastructure in areas that they control. But Somalia is been the U.S. has been at war more or less inside Somalia for a couple of decades now, and so every president is taking his turns going into Somalia, and so we have U.S. military working with the Mogadishu government to go after supposed terrorist elements, and then we have airstrikes and drone strikes. And so once again, I point out that Trump may be a peacemaker and is not for war in some situations, but he's fully prepared, as we've seen, to propagate war where he feels it's justified. A good example of that is bombing Yemen and and also allowing Israel to attack 5 different countries in the last year. And so some wars are okay and some are not. That's the reality of the era we live in, and probably throughout history. But in Trump's first term, he had 63 air and drone strikes in Somalia, and that's not too bad for 4 years. But now we have, so far in 2025, we're halfway through the year, and the Trump administration has had 75 air and drone strikes in Somalia. So it's a real war. We've got troops on the ground. We have airstrikes. We have drone strikes. We're working with the local so-called legitimate government of Somalia and Mogadishu, and it's a real war. And the U.S. is heavily participating in it. And so, but we won't talk about that. We won't see much about it in the media. And so, like with most politicians, unfortunately, with Trump, you have to not only listen to what he says, but he has to watch what he does. And so with Trump, some wars are outrageous and need to be stopped, and other wars need to be either started or continued. Just the reality of the American empire. And so even though Trump seems to be bucking against the globalist systems in some ways he's still participating in the globalist system. So we'll see how it all shakes out in the end. I would imagine we're going to see more regional wars in the next 3.5 years with Trump. It just seems like a no-brainer that there will be areas found to perpetrate more imperialism, more empire, more U.S. military presence. And we're already seeing that, of course, with the U.S. Making military actions going towards South America and around South America going to be a new norm. So, so there we have it. We're going to have some good wars and some bad wars. But for me, all wars are bad. I'm useful idiot. Don't you be one too.